Please call the roll.
Senators Crawford,
Here.
Gregory, Brown, Huff, McCreary, Mosley, Trent. Oh, okay.
Yes, we do have the quorum. Hold on just one second. Senator Trent, do you want to go ahead and go first on your bill? All right, first up, we'll have the hearing on Senate Bill 385.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Curtis Trent, representing Senate District 20, here to talk about Senate Bill 385. This is a model language bill. So in 2017, under the Trump administration, U.S. Treasury Department urged states to adopt regulations for insurance providers to develop, implement, and maintain an information security program, investigate any cybersecurity events, and notify the state insurance officials of such events. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners published model language, which was drafted over a 2-year period, had multiple rounds of comment periods and input. 26 states have adopted similar legislation. I won't list them all, but certainly a majority at this point. And so what it would do specifically is direct the Department of Commerce and Insurance to create regulations on insurers to conduct annual risk assessments, maintain an information security program, develop and manage a cybersecurity incident response plan, notify the insurance commissioner of cybersecurity events within 3 days in most states, notify consumers affected by a cybersecurity event. The objective here is to create a uniform standard on how to address data breaches. And, so obviously this has ramifications for your end consumer who wants to have their data protected and wants their personal information protected as well. I think it's fairly common knowledge that a lot of cybersecurity threats, come from outside this country, not just from inside our nation's boundaries. And so I think this has, to some degree, a national security and a ramification as well. And so that's why it's important to have a standard that it works nationally to try to accomplish these goals. And so I think this would be a step in the right direction to provide that larger framework, but also still have this be responsive to any localized Missouri needs on cybersecurity and to protect the end consumer here in Missouri. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none. First up, in favor of Senate Bill 385. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. My name is Hampton Williams. I am the General Counsel for the Missouri Insurance Coalition, speaking in support of Senate Bill 385. Again, this is model language, and generally what the bill does is it identifies that regulated entities, described as licensees, are required to develop internet security protocols that are specific to their own size and capabilities. So this is not a cookie cutter specific mandate where every single company has to follow the same minimum standards. Rather, this creates a regulatory framework whereby companies would report to the Department of Commerce and Insurance what their protocols are, and then it provides authority to the Department of Insurance to provide continuing oversight of those plans. This has been implemented in a number of states, and since 2017, including many of our neighbors, Oklahoma, Iowa, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. And we have seen that the regulatory system has worked where you've had a plan submitted by a regulated entity. The insurance authority of that state determines that there needs to be some adjustment, and they are able to intercede and work with that regulated entity to try to increase those minimum standards. And so this does provide a functional framework. It's worked in other states. Several of our members, which operate in multiple states, already have to comply with similar programs implemented in those specific states. It's also important why to maintain kind of the model language involved here. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. We're going to take a pause real quick and go into executive session. We have a couple members that may need to scoot out of here, so we're going to do that. I make a motion we go into executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are in executive session. I move that we take up Senate Bill 181. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it, and the ayes do have it. This is the peer-to-peer bill that we heard a couple weeks back, maybe longer than that, and the delivery network. There was some opposition to the bill. We have continued to work on this bill. Matter of fact, Senator Trent and I met with some of the stakeholders as recently as yesterday. We are not 100% where we want to be at, but we are very, very close. We are there on the peer-to-peer. We've worked out all the differences on that. We believe on the delivery network, we're very close to getting an agreement, but I would like to go ahead and move it out. So with that, is there any discussion?
Yeah. Madam Chair, just real quick.
Senator Huff.
Thank you. So if I remember correctly, and I guess, maybe enlighten me a little bit on the conversations that you've had in the last couple of weeks, but my understanding was the frustration or the questions were revolving around when a driver was actually covered, right? So like if you
Yes,
just
that's
have
correct.
an app open, but you're dropping your kids off
Right.
for school.
That's the whole thing.
Right.
That's
So
pretty much it.
Can you tell me where we are with like those negotiations before
Yes.
we vote on this?
Yes, we.
And do you have a sub on this, or is this just?
Yes, we do have a sub, and we distributed that yesterday, I believe. And you should have a folder. Yes, I'll just be very blunt. We met with Walmart yesterday. They were one of the ones that has the app wide open, and so we have asked them. Obviously, this is not one size fits all, and so we are trying to get them to come up with a different language to describe how their process actually works. And I think that I'm hoping that alleviates the problem. I think we've got everybody else on board on the part where the app opens and shuts, to the best of my knowledge. But we just need to describe the different processes, the way they use the application differently, and we have asked them to come up with some language.
So as of yet, they don't have the language drafted. They're working on it.
That is correct. We just met with them yesterday.
And when we say they, we're just talking about the Walmart side of this equation?
We-
Or are you talking about all the delivery app folks?
The part of the delivery folks were okay with the language that we had, with the app being open when it comes open. Anyway, that was my understanding. So some of them are okay with that language, but it doesn't fit everybody.
Well, I mean, I think for me, I think my curiosity lies in, where the liability takes over for the company, and I don't agree that they should be liable for instances when someone isn't actively participating in an act of employment, if you want to describe it that way. So as long as you're confident that we're working in a direction where
I'm not moving this forward the way it is. We want to get everybody.
But you want to vote it out today, right?
With the assumption, or with
That we're going to
the,
get somewhere?
yes.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
I mean, not usually, but I trust you more than a lot of people, so.
Okay.
I'll give a little deference to the chairwoman in this regard, but just know that, I want to make sure that all those stakeholders are okay moving forward.
We are trying diligently to make that happen, and Senator Trent can probably speak to this too.
Because totally, if a driver is going to be covered under someone else's insurance, I am going to become a DoorDash driver, having never delivered anything in my life, so that I can stop paying Farm Bureau, who, I love to death, an exorbitant rate of insurance on all my vehicles.
I understand your concerns, and
Just telling you where I'm at.
I appreciate your concerns. Senator Trent, did you want to add to that since you were in that meeting yesterday?
Yeah, so I think everyone's in agreement that, we want commercial activity to be covered by commercial insurance and personal activity to be covered by the personal side. The only thing I would really add to it is that, this isn't, a company specific or industry specific. It's really more, making sure that different types of technology are treated in ways that those different types of technology that makes sense for them. And so I think that's what will revolve around, because, technology changes, like people will adopt inevitably different types of technological processes to track these kinds of activities in the future. And so we want rules that are neutral and will adapt based on the nature of that technology. And so I think that's the goal everyone has here.
Right, and it's not my intention at all to leave anyone out of this equation. We want everybody to be covered the way, we want everybody to feel comfortable with this moving forward, and that is my goal. Further discussion? Seeing none, I make a motion that we adopt the committee substitute. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adopting the substitute, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. I now move that we vote Senate Bill 181 with Senate committee substitute out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any final discussion? Seeing none, Barb, would you please call the roll?
Senators Crawford.
Aye.
Gregory.
Aye.
Brown. Huff. McCreary. Mosley. Okay. Trent. Mosley.
By your vote of 4-2, you have do pass Senate substitute for Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 181. I make a motion we go out of executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we'll go back to Senate Bill 385. Next up, in favor.
Larry Case, today representing the Missouri Association of Insurance Agents. I want to go on record in favor.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next up, in favor.
Rich Abashan, registered lobbyist for the American Property Casualty Insurance Association and the Doctors Company in support.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next up, in favor.
Good afternoon, Tyler Hobbs, Legislative Director for the Missouri Department of Commerce and Insurance. Just want to go record in favor and thank Senator Trent for bringing this forward.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Next up, in favor. Seeing none, anyone here to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 385? Seeing none, next, or anyone for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 385? Seeing none, Senator Trent, no final comments. This will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 385. We'll next go to my bill, Senate Bill 488. I'm going to turn it over to the Vice Chair to run the meeting.
We will now hear Senate Bill 488. Senator, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, for the record, Sandy Crawford, District 28. Thanks for the opportunity to hear Senate Bill 488. We've actually had this bill last year, but we just didn't quite get it across the finish line. So Senate Bill 488 is addressing the various types of payment methods used in real estate transactions, and that is governed by the Good Funds Law and Senate Bill 488 is going to make some updates to that law. So the Missouri Good Funds Law, they were created in 1996, and the last time they were updated was 2008, and that was prior to using various payment mechanisms such as FedNow or real-time payments. As you all know, when you do a real estate transaction, you've got to make sure that you have good funds. You can't take in funds from somebody and then pay them out to the seller and then find out that the funds were no good. So it's really important that we make sure that we have good funds. So Senate Bill 488 will set the requirements will set requirements for acceptable forms of closing funds, add to it, expand it. Much like last year, we added to the statutes things to cover Venmo and PayPal because they had not been updated for years. This will serve to update the Good Funds Law regarding real estate transactions and closings. So the Good Funds statute acts as a deterrent to fraud. It provides certainty to the market for consumers, and it creates stability in the economic marketplace. Senate Bill 488 will facilitate the technology linked with approved payment methods such as FedNow and real-time payments. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions, and I think I have some experts in the industry that will be coming up to testify in favor as well.
Thank you. Questions for the senator? Senator Mosley.
So is there a certain system that is going to be used for this? And is every real estate company going to have access to this system?
This will be the funds coming into them, so I should be just like a wire transfer into their checking account, their escrow accounts.
So it's like through the bank itself transaction?
That would be my assumption, and we have some title company folks here that can speak to that have probably had some dealings with these in the past that should be able to answer your question a little bit more thoroughly than I can.
Okay, so basically when somebody's buying what's this for? Real estate, they have to do a wire transfer from their bank account.
The real-time payments and the FedNow are just like a wire transfer. The way I understand it, it's just a payment system where they can get the funds to the title companies, so they'll be make sure they're good funds. They can't take them back after they transfer them in. So, like I said, you've got to make sure those funds are good because you can't be paying out a seller with funds that aren't good. But this is just expanding it. It doesn't make them do the real-time payment. It doesn't make them do this. It just allows them to. If you'll look up in number 2, you can still do cashier's checks, certified checks, teller checks, things like that. This is just going to expand the funds that they would accept, I guess you would say. So it's not going to cut out any other kind of funds. It'll just be an additional ways to get money to them.
Okay.
Further questions for the senator? Seeing none. Anyone here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488?
Thank you all. Bob Swiss. I am the legislative chair for the Missouri Land Title Association, past president also. I'm also underwriting counsel for First American Title Insurance Company. We are here to testify in support of Senate Bill 488 and to address Senator Mosley's question earlier. This just adds another payment method to the certified funds. Right now, only certified funds are listed as cashier's checks, teller's checks. There's also wiring that we could use, but this is just another method that the Federal Reserve and the automated clearinghouses have come up with that is a more secure way of digitally transferring currency. They call it a payment rail. So we're just updating our bills in order to keep up with the new technology of how we can transfer currency.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Anyone here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Emily Lewis. On behalf of the Missouri Bankers Association, here to support the updates to the Certified Funds Bill, support our customers on both sides of real estate transactions, and hopefully deter fraud. I appreciate the Senator bringing it forward.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Senator
Is
Mosley.
someone able to explain what the, let's see, settlement agent is, who that is?
What the settlement agent is, in all honesty, I am not an expert on these particular transactions. Thank you. So that would be a part of the title company's staff who facilitates the closing.
Okay, so one of them is coming up to explain.
Yeah, so Senator, it sounds like it's just the middleman, if you will, the third party that manages the closing process. So it looks like an escrow agent or a somebody like that. So does that make sense?
Is there any restrictions on who the settlement agent? Oh, you said you don't know about that one. All right. Yep.
I think they're just often part of the title company, right? So when you sell a home, you got to go through the title company, right? And I think they're just part of that, I think.
Yeah, I don't believe there are any restrictions.
We'll find out from additional witnesses. Any further questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Next
you.
witness to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488.
Thank you. Bob Swiss again. If I could address your question again, Senator Mosley. The settlement agent are also the title agents. So there's a title insurer that will have agents that you go to and you have your closing at the end of you're doing your due diligence of purchasing the property where the funds are transferred in. They are also issuing a title policy in most instances, and they are our title agents. They are licensed by the state. They're regulated by the insurance department, and not anybody can just become a settlement agent under the current Missouri law.
Very good. Any questions for this witness? Did you state your name for the record?
Yeah, Bob Swiss with First American Title Insurance Company and Missouri Land Title Association.
Very good. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thanks so much for being here. Next witness to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488.
Good afternoon. My name is Heath Clarkston. I'm here on behalf of the Mortgage Bankers Association of Missouri in support of the bill.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thanks so much for being here. Next witness to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488.
Mr. Chairman, Andy Arnold here with the Missouri Independent Bankers Association in support of the bill.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thanks so much for being here. Next witness to testify in favor of Senate Bill 488. Is he coming? Oh. Seeing none, next witness to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 488. Seeing none, anyone here to testify for informational purposes only? Probably not. Thank you. That concludes. Senator, any closing remarks?
Nope, thank you for the opportunity.
Very good. That concludes our hearing on Senate Bill 488, and that concludes, a motion to close committee.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Sorry, motion to adjourn, Senator. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.